everybody, welcome to my vinyl channel. I'm that vinyl guy Boz. This is going to be another thread response video. This is for Mike over at MGK Boston. So if you're not familiar with his channel, I will put links down below so you can check out his channel and check out his initial thread video. But what he wants us to do is show 5 albums from 1985. Now, this is not just any old 5 albums at all from 1985 after watching his video. So he is talking about albums that he listened to when he was in high school. He graduated high school in 1985, and he was showing all the albums that were important to him, you know, in that time. So, so I'm a little bit behind him. I graduated high school in 1983. So basically from junior high school all the way up until I graduated, I pretty much was buying records. I didn't have a whole lot of money. I worked some part-time jobs and did other, you know, chores around the neighborhood and stuff like that. And I got, you know, money here and there. So I was able to buy, you know, 1 or 2 albums or 3 albums maybe a month or something like that. So by the time I got to high school and actually graduated, I'm going to show you a picture here of the records that I had. I believe this here is most of the records. There's some 8 tracks in here too. I think a few cassettes. But this here is the records that I had when I was in high school. Now, after I graduated high school, I went to college for a little while. It wasn't my thing. I was more interested in hanging around friends and doing fun things. And so I kind of dropped out. Even though later I went back. But I dropped out and hung around with friends and did stuff like that. Now, at that time, a lot of my friends were into cassettes. Cassettes were really big in 83 to 45. So, and I had a cassette deck in my car. I went out and bought a boombox. So I had switched over from really buying and listening to records to, you know, buying and playing cassettes. As a matter of fact, I probably sold quite a few albums of this time to go ahead and get them on cassettes. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is show you some records that I would have bought in 1985 on cassette. Now, I no longer have any cassettes. As a matter of fact, I should have done this before the video started, but I'm going to get up here for a second. Excuse my shorts. But this here is the only cassette that I own today. Only one cassette. And this here is a tape that a friend of mine made for me about 25-30 years ago with songs from Barnes and Barnes. So that's the only tape that I currently own. But so these albums, even though these albums I'm showing you, I do have them on vinyl today. These are albums that I bought back in 1985 originally on cassettes. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So the very first one that I would have bought back then and I had on cassette is John Cougar Mellencamp Scarecrow. Very amazing album. Big fan of John Cougar, and I always think of him as John Cougar because that's how I learned who he was, John Cougar. Even though, you know, John Mellencamp now, right? But this has a Small Town. It has Lonely Old Night, Rain on the Scarecrow. Some amazing songs on it. So, but that would have been a record that I actually, a cassette that I would have bought back in 1985, and that I did have back in 1985. So another album that I bought on cassette that I had back in 1985 is Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. So amazing album. I play this album a lot. So, you know, it's hard to find anything wrong with this. So that's another cassette that I had back in 1985. Foreigner is real big. I've always been a huge Foreigner fan all growing up. I'm still a big Foreigner fan today. They're probably in my top 5 groups of all time that I enjoy. This here is Agent Provocateur. So I remember buying this on cassette as well. This has I Want to Know What Love Is. And so anything else here? Reaction to Action is really good. That was Yesterday. So I'll show you the back of this as well. This here is actually a music on vinyl release of this, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so I did have this in 1985 on the cassette. So another one, man, you know, this movie was huge back in 1985. I still remember watching it in the theater and was blown away by this. So I definitely had this, like I said, as well. But this has one of the top songs of the year 1985, which is Huey Lewis and the News, "The Power of Love," and that's one of the tracks off of this soundtrack. So I play this a lot in my car. So it's an amazing soundtrack. And last but not least, I am a huge Styx fan. If you're familiar with my channel, I'm sure you're aware that I'm a huge Styx fan. I like them a lot. So this here, I remember buying this back in 1985 on cassette. So this was J.Y. Cindy Slicker. He is one of the main singers in the group Styx. There's three main vocalists, which is Dennis DeYoung, Tommy Shaw, and J.Y. So, and this here is J.Y. He actually made this album with Jan Hammer. And it's actually a really great album. If you've never heard it, I recommend you pick it up and play it. It's just great rock music, very representative of that time of 1985 and the music that was coming out back then. So it's an awesome album, put out on this Passport Records label, small label. So I think I have maybe a handful of albums in my entire collection on Passport Records. But anyways, really good record. So I do want to thank Mike over at MGK Boston for hosting this thread and for allowing me to go back through memories back at that time. I do want to thank everybody for watching today, and I'll see you all next time.